are.
All right. So we are in love with Anja and Nicole, having conversations today about relationship expectations. Hey, Anja girl. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I am wonderful. So good to see you. One day we're going to be in the same room. I want to come to this bay. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Look, I'm the one that be gypsying it around. You're more stable than I am.
No, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. Before I come around the spring break, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right, so that's our reminder coming up for us that we were going to go live in the group, but guys, we're having technical difficulties. We will figure that out. In the meantime, we're live.
We are live, and I want to say to the people, thank you guys so much for understanding what we got going on tech-wise, for bearing with us tech-wise, because I promise that it will grow into something beautiful to where we could have somebody else dealing with this.
Oh yeah, we're going somewhere. Trust and believe, but for now, it's like there's another way to say it. There's a wind on it. Like God's approval is like now to do what we're doing, and I'm so honored to do it with my sister Anja. I'm so honored to get to do it about something that I love, to get to talk about love, all things love. So
I just wanted to mention something. I absolutely love your haircut. It is gorgeous. It looks so
well,
beautiful.
thank you. I appreciate that. It's something that may come up as a part of our topic a little later. So we are talking about it. So let's get into it. So we have, listen, I'm just going to keep me on time. We have 30 minutes to talk about what we're talking about. And if we need to do a part 2, we sure can.
All right. So today we're talking about expectations. And we really wanted to focus, it's expectations within relationships, but this is not just romantic relationships. We're talking about expectations from ourselves, because we are always first and foremost in a relationship with ourselves. Expectations that we may have in romantic relationships, as well as expectations in friendships. One of the goals of being in love with love is living a lovely, abundant life that God has given us. So these are things that we have to process and think about at all the time in order to grow as people. And I love it because one of the things that I'm seeing within this, I want to say union, but is collaboration. Thank you. Within this collaboration is the willingness to be teachable and to grow. So I feel like I learn something new every single time we come here. So I'm excited to learn.
I'm with you. And thank you for making that clear. We're setting the foundation. We like to start with a simple foundation so that everybody has a common understanding for what we're talking about. And then what I love about this platform and this community, because we have a group, please join our group if you want to continue to talk more in an intimate setting. It's a safe setting. We want to engage with our community partners. So please join our group. It's In Love with Love podcast. Just search us out and join the group. You be invited. You'll be welcomed, men and women. But back to what I'm saying, we're setting a foundation for conversation, because oftentimes conversation is more meaningful. One, if we're understanding where each one of us are coming from, and then we get to I don't want to say debate, but we get to extrapolate more meaning and understanding. And although we may not always fully agree, we can come to respectful understanding that we agree to disagree, right?
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you, Nicole, since we're going in this order, what in being in relationship, what are your relationship expectations for yourself? Not romantic, but like literally Nicole and Nicole.
Okay, so I'm going to define it according to Webster. You know, this is the teacher in me, so I'm going to define it. So the expectations are anticipation or a strong belief that something should or will happen. Strong belief that something should. You know, we get in trouble when we should all over ourselves. I have to shout out to my personal organizer. She's helping me through some things, and she's like, "Oh, you're shitting all over yourself." Sometimes we get in trouble with that, but something should or will happen. So with that being said, you were asking me about my expectations for myself. And I was thinking about this. I was really sitting with the Lord and thinking, my expectations for myself is to continue to like grow and be the best person that I can be in the earth, continue to like actualize like my purpose, my calling, continue to be, like you say, teachable, which for me computes as humbling myself. And sometimes we as Christian people, because it's a Christian platform, just to remind everybody, biblical based, we don't always think about ourselves as, oh, I'm humble, but sometimes we're not. And so I know for me, I've been on a journey of just saying, I choose to humble myself. I don't want to be debased or humbled per se. I want to humble myself before the Lord, even though, I've been built up in my identity over the last couple of years as a queen, as a, daughter of God, like all these things. And it's important and has its place. But like the Bible says, the 24 elders in Revelations, even with all their prestige and hype, they, cast down your crowns. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, we bow down to the King of Kings. So how do we make that practical in real life? My expectation is to always keep myself humble, like you said, teachable, honest, open, and just grow into more like Christ. To be honest, how do I demonstrate the fruit of the Spirit? How can I be more long suffering? How can I be kind? How can I be more disciplined? Hey, that's a dirty word, but how can I do those things seriously? And I just think about that. And there's something else that I was thinking about. What was it? Bring it back to me, Lord. Girl, I could talk and talk. Maybe it'll come back, but that's a foundation for me.
That's beautiful. When I think of my expectations for myself and my relationship with myself, and I feel like this is something that just came out, especially at the end of last year, the end of 2020. And the number one thing at this time, because we change, we flow, and that's what we get to do as human beings. Authenticity, being completely authentic about the things that I consider to be me in this time and in this season. It's so interesting because I just got I was going through some of my clothes and I was like, oh yeah, I'm not wearing this anymore. I'm giving this away. Knowing that it's okay to switch and move, you know what I'm saying? As you grow or as you change, I feel like sometimes people, it's almost kind of like we have to convince ourselves, I'm allowed to change. Heck yes, you are allowed to change.
What they say is, it's a woman's prerogative to change her mind. I don't know if you ever heard that saying, but
I've never heard it, but I love it. I've never heard that, but I love it because who or what, or the only thing that I have heard the saying, the only thing that's constant in this world is change.
It's change.
But sometimes I feel like, especially for women, it's not now. God, I don't want to be all like, especially for Black women, because everybody is welcome here. But I do feel like sometimes, especially for Black women, it's
but you have to own your perspective, so go
exactly. Ahead. Thank you. Oh, you can't change unless the community approves that you've changed. If the community approves that you've changed, then you are then allowed to change. To that, I say you get a boot to the face. You get a boot to the face.
She's choosing violence today, y'all.
Choosing violence today. Pew, pew, pew. But that's what I consider relationship with myself. My expectation for me in this season is to be completely and totally authentic. And I feel like it covers a blanket statement, but at the same time, it's very specific when it comes to certain things. I get a chance to change. What worked for me yesterday may not work for me today or tomorrow, and it is okay.
I love that.
You want to be like in relationship with me, you will deal, just like I'll deal with you,
Yeah.
Not you specifically, but you, the proverbial you. Yeah.
And I think I just piggyback on that because I do, like we were just talking off screen or offset, but I'm learning more and more about, as we're called to, we're in the beauty industry. Like that's just what we do. And oftentimes when you're called to something, that's your biggest struggle. So many years I struggled with embracing my own beauty, seeing what was beautiful about myself, liking even things about myself. And then as I got older, God just continued to show me, and I began to embrace more and more. But as I'm 44, I'm so proud and thankful to be 44 and healthy in my right mind. And I look good, girl. So, hey, toot my own horn because it's the glory of God. But with that being said, I'm still learning how to literally embrace things that I still haven't fully embraced at 44. So with that being said, the Lord was just kind of reminding me, like, I'd like you to consider circling back to, and like you talked about my hair, since you got it out, since you took out the whatever, the latest braids, you know, I like to change it up. He was like, why don't we just stay here in this vein? Because for me, this is closest to my natural hair color too. It's like, I would have been on, let's throw some color in there for the new year, girl. I'm thinking about cutting it, all these things. It's just like, let's just stay here and let's just extract and glean from all of the beauty that's in this moment. If you never wear another lash, because I'm having some lash problems I told you about, if you never put on any more bright makeup, I'm just saying, you know, these are things that we're like, oh, but this will enhance my beauty. And while they do you need that? If you never put another enhancement on, can you see the enhancement of God's glory in what he's given you alone? That's the whole word right there.
That is an entire word.
So that's where we right. I'm gonna write that out with the Lord right now.
Hold on, because you just gave me an idea for another topic. Okay, so I think that was really it really pulled out well. So that's where I'm at in the season, and it's wonderful because it sounds like that's where you are too. Just the opportunity to grow, and the reason why we have an opportunity to grow is because we're alive. Thank you, Lord, that we are alive and we are still in the land of living. I want to next take what you just discerned from your relationship with yourself, and I'm going to switch it over and say, those expectations that you have for yourself, how now would they look in your expectation with your friendships?
You know what? And I've had time to think about this too. People that I've known for years, and we have longevity. It may not be your inner court, because I feel like there are, you know, when you start using this verbiage, I'm going to break it down for some people that may not know, but we talk about intimacy with the Lord, right? And if you talk about the Old Testament, now listen, I'm not a Bible scholar, I'm gonna shout that out now, but I have some basic understanding. And when you start talking about in the Old Testament, how they talked about how the priests would enter into the sanctuary, if you will, and only the place, the set aside consecrated that only the priest could go. It was like levels of that. So it's like outer, inner, middle court. So inner, middle court, inner court. So with that being said, when you make the analogy to levels of intimacy and relationships that you have with people, even in, like, we have associates, everybody use the word friend, but really you have to define what a friend is. What is my expectation for a friend, right? Like, it might be different than an associate, and a lot of people don't grow up thinking about this. Another thing I learned from one of my mentorship friends, sister friends, she entered into a best friend relationship with her friend, and she calls it covenant relationship, which when you start maturing in Christ, you start seeing, oh, I'm in covenant relationships with people, and that looks different than years ago, or it looks different from even, you know, what I thought it was. And so I'm kind of opening up a lot here, but I hope that y'all are following me. But so I have friends that I've been friends with for some years now, but these are my inner court. Like, only a certain people are coming up in there. And you start thinking, you know what, this is making me think about that young lady, you know, God bless her you know, her family, but she lost her life going on vacation with some people that were quote unquote, I guess, friends. Again, we use that word very lightly. People we don't know. We're not really operating in discernment to see who has our back or who doesn't have our back. You know, we sometimes get swept away with so much what we consider to be luxury that it's deceiving, because that, and not at all was that ever luxurious. Anytime you lose your life going to party on a beach somewhere, you know, and I'm just being loose with that, but so, you know, that makes me think about that, us needing to, I think my expectation is that people I enter into new relationship with is that I need them to understand what it means to be a friend. Like, for me, my expectation of a friend is someone that is going to encourage me, to have my back, to allow me, to have grace, to allow me to be flawed. Like realistically, there have been times in friendships, I'm gonna be honest, even friends that I no longer, honestly, I'm no longer friends with. They're associates. I love them with the love of Christ, but sometimes those things come to an end, and God has to show us that. It doesn't mean it has to be an enemy. But with that being said, there have been times where they've had to lend me money. There have been times when I've had to lend them money. There have been hard pressed times, and I appreciated the grace that was shown. So for me, an expectation would be showing grace to one another, but also being able to encourage one another, but also being able to say, hey, let's look at this. Like, this is a pattern. Because loving you means loving me, right? God, me, you, always that. God, me, you. And so if that at some point is infringing upon me, I need to look at a boundary here, because perhaps we need to revisit. This is a boundary for me, and it's important for us. So if you've heard me say that, I'm looking at you and I'm expecting you to value and respect and honor the boundary that we've talked about. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna stop right there because I could keep talking, but that's some of what I would expect from a friendship.
Wow, I love it, because in that I love and it's so interesting because boundaries sound so scary, but I've always thought of boundaries kind of like, I heard it years ago, it's like a safe gate. It keeps you safe. Boundaries keep me safe.
Yeah.
Boundaries keep you safe. Like, for instance, if you were eating a delicious meal or something like that, and there was so much on the food, on the table that was available to you, but your boundaries only allow you to eat the certain amount versus you eating so much more and then ended up getting sick. Yeah. So with that in mind, my expectations for friendships in this season are I want to say a two-way street, but because I'm being so much more authentic to myself, it is forcing me to put up those boundaries. And that's why I like what you said, how you brought up boundaries. Before, I always felt like I had to take care of everybody. And then, only child, this and all of this kind of stuff, when you're a little bit wiser than other people. I
definitely understand, only children.
Exactly, exactly. I was 20 when the little one came around. So I grew up as an only child, but there's that mindset or idea that, oh my goodness, I have to take care of these people. Then, we're spiritually aware at young ages and stuff like that. So there was a long time where I would take care of you before I really took care of myself.
It's a powerful point.
And
I say this too? Yeah. I just want to add to what you were saying about boundaries, because sometimes we do see boundaries as a dirty word. We see it as a negative connotation or something that's not biblical, but boundaries are biblical. And I would encourage people or challenge you to think of boundaries as honoring. I was listening to a pastor who was talking about boundaries and why they're needed, but he wasn't saying, we do, and they are definitely protection. But the way he explained them, I'm not going to do justice to it, but the best way I can explain it was it helps us really honor one another.
Yeah. So yeah. So I love that. It does help us. And think about it. Come on now. Yes, I am a friend of God, but let me try and roll up on him unnecessarily and disrespectfully and watch what happens. Because he has boundaries with me. It was honestly, I was just talking to him.
That was good.
I had a conversation with the Lord yesterday, but I got checked real quick. I checked him before he could check me, because I was like, wait a minute, hold up, because you are the great I am.
No, you didn't check him. You checked yourself, right?
I checked myself before he could check me.
Okay.
Because I've been around the block a little bit. But I was like, wait a minute, nope. Let me sit back and worship for a little bit, and not necessarily worship in song, but literally just reminding myself of the presence of who I'm talking to. Yes, God is my best friend, but don't get it twisted. He is still God. So even when I think about that for myself, yes, I'm your friend. I'll ride with you. I'll rock with you. Like, I will walk to some dirty areas with people who I consider a friend, but don't get it twisted. We're like, I still need to make sure that I am honoring myself first and foremost. And
I know that may sound like common sense, but that is such a powerful revelation. And like I said, the alignment is honoring God first, loving you second, and loving others third. So for you to say, I have to understand at some point, how is my relationship with you violating me from honoring myself?
But at the same time, you say it sounds like common sense. I want to bring it back because I have a beautiful, beautiful friend. This is a friend that I've had for like 20 years. My homegirl, Tammy. And she is so aware, she's so aware. I said something to her yesterday and she just is very opposite for me. I'm very hyper. She's very like chill. But she was like, as Black women, we didn't really always get that opportunity and that chance because once again, as Black women in America, we are told and taught to take care of people, especially if you come like I do from the one who takes care of the family. Like that's how the line is gone for me. Mama take care of everybody regardless of what anybody
My
does.
dear, big mama and
to take care of everybody regardless. So it's like you see the inner part of what's going on with them, but yet there's still the expectation because of community that they take care of everybody. So the relationship with friendships ends up getting broken because they are still in that mindset of like, well, I still got to take care of you.
Yeah.
So I am the generational curse breaker in that. I'm learning myself. It's not common sense because what is that? What do they say? Common sense is not so common.
And this is what I heard you, and we're going to have to switch gears and go into the relationship piece, but what I see in people that I love and been around, and even younger girls, probably men too, but like you said, unpacking when we didn't get something as a child and not realizing now we're striving to be validated in a friendship. See me, love me. Here, I can buy you this. Oh, you don't have money? Or you need a place to stay? Because for many years, I would do that. And while it's a integritous, beautiful thing to do with your brothers and sisters, to do it with anybody that you love or see hurting, we have to realize, this is what the Lord had to show me, it's codependent. It becomes unhealthy and codependent because now I become someone's source, and we were never meant to be someone's source. We're only conduits to help God love on people. So if I'm checking with God, and sometimes we don't know to do that because I had to learn. If I'm checking with God, like, well, God, they're in need. Should I give them money? Should I open up my house? And if he's saying, if you feel a piece of God or you feel a check, however you hear from God, then we have to follow that, and we have to be obedient, because even though it's a right thing or a good thing to help people, it may not be the righteous thing. Those are two different things. So
yeah, we're definitely going to put a pin in that. I just wrote it down too, so we'll also have some memory. But with those things of how we're still taking care of ourselves and how we relate to friendships and relationships, now we can talk, or I want to ask you your expectations in a romantic relationship. And we're not talking about just like, oh, girl, the list, he got to be 10, he got to be fly and sexy, honey, brown, skinny dip, boo. No, I'm not talking about that. What? Right.
Now, if there is a lot to that, and that is very loaded, but I was thinking in preparation for today, and this is something I'm going to challenge our community to talk about through the week. So as women of God, men of God, as people of God, who know what the word says, who know that we're choosing to live a pure, sanctified, set aside life. How many people, because I have to think about this, because my expectation, I'm gonna go back to my expectation for myself. My expectation for myself is to continue living an abstinent life, right? To continue living in purity, sexual purity, until my husband comes, because I desire to be in a marriage and to be in a relationship, and I desire to have sex in that relationship. Let's make no mistakes about that. So until that happens,
of course,
I'm going to continue to be me and Jesus, and we're going to walk this thing out. But I want to know how many people that won't be afraid, but will be honest about, do they expect that from their mate? Like, how many men or how many women have an expectation that their mate will be walking in the same, because I want to say this, everybody's journey looks different, and I wouldn't judge anybody's journey, because they could have been divorced, they could have, went wild. You could have been wild. You could have, whatever it looks like. You know what I mean? You could have been violated and that took you into promiscuity, or you just could, whatever. Everybody's journey looks different. But when I meet that person, I had to think about it. I said to myself, is my expectation for that person to be holding themselves to the same standard, per se, walking in a level of abstinence or walking in absence? And I had to think about the question. And I'm going to say yes. But with that being said, I still have the understanding that I would like to talk about that and walk with them and see what that looks like. Because again, everybody's journey is different and everybody's in a different place in that journey of sanctification.
Yeah. I love that you said that. When I think, and this has been coming up a lot more for me, expectations. And I had a good conversation with a friend yesterday, my homegirl, who actually is always, she's such a thinker and she's a student of the Bible, but when we were talking about we were just talking and shooting the breeze, but I thought about my expectations in relationships. I want the person to be as open as they possibly can be, the same thing that I'm looking for myself, authenticity. But I also had to really look at me and make sure that I was not focusing so much on the position and not so much on the person. Because even if God dropped him right down now and it's like, okay, your husband, yes, husband, your husband, but who are you as person?
Yes.
Because that's the person who I'm going to be in partnership and relationship with.
Yeah.
I know that I am allowing myself to be authentic and to learn and to bump my head, but as husband, am I expecting you to be perfect? Those are the kind of things that I am really checking for myself now. And so the expectations, and this is huge because the expectations are no longer the mindset of what husband will do, but more so, how am I going to commune with the person?
Who am I doing life with? Because for me, I agree. I want to do life with a friend. So I want to do life with a friend. You know what I mean? I don't want to always be, to be honest, I'm gonna have to be honest. I don't want to always be toiling with you. Can we just how easy can we agree to disagree? Can we laugh? I don't want to be so serious. I like to laugh.
Yeah.
I have friends that like to laugh and have fun. And, it's just, so anyway.
If we're not laughing, we're not doing this. We're not. So those are the things that I thought about, just that, as we said, expectations and stuff like that. When it comes to somebody else, I just, as the word of God says, you treat someone as you would want to be treated. That's my expectation, that you would be authentic within yourself, just as I'm really working on being authentic within myself.
I would say this with that too, because I thought about it as you were talking. With that level, with the journey to become your most authentic, purest, true version of you, right? There is a grace that God is walking you through. And so I would say, I would ask, can you have a grace to allow that person to walk through that same journey?
So we're saying the same thing. We are saying the exact same thing, because that is in my mind when I say allowing that person, that is the exact same thing. Is it easy? Yeah. No, because
realistically, they may not be in the same place. They may be step 1 and you're on step 10 or something.
Right. And I'm like, come on, hurry up. But God didn't hurry up to me.
Yeah.
You know what? But it once again, as we exemplify Christ, as we are supposed to, well, I want to say supposed to, but as we are called to exemplify Christ in relationship, that doesn't just mean with my homegirls. That means also, and not even more so, especially with the person who he has called me to do life with. So once again, that kind of takes off any expectations that I would have of that person to be husband versus the person.
And I think that checks me too, because you really, I'm gonna say this because we're getting ready to wrap up, but when you in areas of when you start thinking about a covenant man of God, we have to give permission for people to be people and past just the title of a husband, like you said, the office of a husband or whatever. But understanding, if you're called to them, because we're called help meets, we're called to help for a reason, to bring balance perhaps. we really have to discern that, because we could miss it thinking, well, this person don't know how to laugh. They don't know how to have a good time, but maybe you're called to help them get out of that place. So I hear you, Lord.
Yeah, I hear you. I heard that. I heard that. So that's really awesome conversation. If you guys are in our group, we want to keep the conversation going there. We really want to hear you guys' thoughts. We will be posting stuff. We will be asking questions, and we will be posting polls to want to know how you guys engage. Whether you are single or newly married or even married for a bajillion years, because I feel like we have some people like that in there too.
Yeah, please tell us, give us some advice.
Yes, yes, because we're in this thing. So we are community. We just want to thank you guys for tuning in on this Sunday. It's a Sunday. Yes, on the Sunday
Yes,
pop up. And
and that's what we're trying to do unless something changes. We'll be pretty steady with Sundays. So next Sunday, join us. It's gonna be an awesome Sunday, 7 p.m. different
what's
time.
going on?
EST time. We're gonna have our guest who is a licensed therapist talking about the imposter syndrome. That's gonna be amazing.
I'm excited about that. I
Me
am so
too.
excited. So until next time, you guys, thank you for coming and tuning in with In Love.
Signing off saying stay in love with love. Do you think that works?
Yeah, signing off saying it. Wait, that sounds a tongue twizzler for me.
Tell us if
In
you
love
like
with
that
love.
sign off, or if you can think of some other ones. We wanna hear from you. All right.
Which I think we should say. Yes. All right, bye.
Bye bye, girl.
Bye.